Episode 87, Evoking Change. Introducing Cara-Grace Thornton on the BTS Creative Academy podcast, Uncut. With me, your host, Martin Colton. So, are we in?
Yeah, we're in.
Are we starting? Let's go. So, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Cara-Grace.
Yes.
Yes, Cara-Grace. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So, I have a little tradition that I do with some of these, just to start the podcast that I do every single time. You can join me if you wish.
Okay.
I just do a little countdown. It's really, really simple, and then a clap.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, clap. So, would you like to join me?
I'll join you.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Sweet.
Ooh,
It was initially because I couldn't afford a clapper board at the start, and you've got to sync the audio and the video, and so we started clapping together, and I pretty much do it on everyone since now, and it's like if I forget to do it, I get upset, or I've had the guests upset as well sometimes.
Oh, that's sweet though. That's really
so
sweet.
yeah, it's sweet when people know as well.
Yeah.
When people come on, they're like, "We didn't do the clap, Martin."
Oh, I love that. Like, that's really sweet.
So yeah, thanks for being here. So I know we've got a mutual friend, Leo, who's been on the podcast already. So I know a little bit about you. He's told me some things about you. But I'd like to find out what's going on in your life at the moment, creatively.
Ooh, that's a big question.
Yeah.
I don't really stop with everything I do. It just kind of keeps going. So I run Offbook Theatre Company, which we started in July-ish last year.
Okay, so nice and fresh.
Nice and fresh. Very it was a slow start, but I wrote a play when I was travelling last year, which I really like. I did on all the trains that I was travelling. I was interrailing, and I was writing all these things about my friends and stuff. And kind of when I was in London, I realised the statistical issues of like women around my age and how they've like increased over the years. So I thought it'd be quite cool to like write something about that. So I did.
Okay.
And then I was like, well, this doesn't have to just be a show. It can be like a movement, and we can start making change through our art and stuff. So I came back to Harlow. I remembered that Leo and other people have been part of Harlow Playhouse and done a few things there. So I went and spoke to them, and they were like, yeah, like come and join us, come to the Young Practitioners, which I thought was really cool.
Wonderful.
And then I recruited one of my good friends, Bells, Annabelle Irvine, and then we recently recruited another girl called Sky, and us three are the core three, and then we're planning events, and yeah. Wonderful.
I want to get into that. I got so many questions
I could
about
talk
it. I want to really find out about this writing and how this whole process has started, but I also want to find out about who you are as well. So you're a writer.
Yeah, the first time. Yeah, this is my first time.
This is your first time writing.
Yeah.
An actor.
Yeah.
But an actor.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I sing, definitely.
Sing?
I've been singing since I was little with my dad, so I've been doing that. And I songwrite, which is kind of where I write quite a lot of poems now. Okay. Which has come from the songwriting, I believe. So, yeah, that's.
And artistic director of a theatre company
yeah.
as well. That's amazing. And you're doing this all at quite a young age.
Yeah. 22.
22. I've done a little bit of looking into you, a little bit of research, and you're fresh out of drama school as well.
Yeah, I finished in July last year. Literally, as I finished, I made Offbook happen essentially, but. Yeah, just finished. LMA was my drama school. That was really cool.
Lovely.
Like brand new. I was the first year in the London campus, which was quite exciting. Quite a very small group of people, so that was really, really cool. And yeah.
What's interesting about that? So my daughter's she's particularly into music.
Yeah.
But she does a lot of drama as well, and so we're going to an open evening next month.
At LMA?
At LMA.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So is it somewhere you would recommend?
It definitely is. I mean, it's changed a lot since when I was there. Like when we first went there, we had COVID and everything, and we had a lot smaller classes than most drama. Smaller now. Like our class was small, but now that it's a lot bigger, they branched out a lot more, which is very interesting because you get to network with a lot of different people. But the music side of it, I definitely say. I mean, I was very close with the music students because I did music at the same time. So The music is really cool. Like the gigs they do and stuff is really, really intense. And obviously it's Robbie Williams' drama school, so they love. You should probably meet him at some point.
So did you get to then?
Yeah, I did.
You did.
Yeah.
So it pops in and checks everyone.
Yeah, he comes in. No, there's a Robbie day. There's a whole day of it.
Oh really?
Yeah. But he was late when we came in.
Right.
So he came into us, but I was in character when he came in to watch ours, and I was playing a horrible person, so I was quite horrible to him.
So this is a new drama school
Yeah.
for London and Liverpool, isn't it?
It's not new in Liverpool.
Not
the London campus.
Oh, the
new.
London one is the new part. Right. Okay. So how does that feel going into? How did that feel going into like a brand new environment? Because a lot of these drama schools are really well established.
Yeah.
And they've got reputations. Whereas somewhere fresh like this, it kind of must have felt like a bit of you going into an unknown.
Yeah, it did. Mm-hmm. It really did. I think I looked at a lot of drama schools and I was really keen to go to LMA Liverpool at first. And I auditioned in Liverpool to go to Liverpool. I wanted to go up north and kind of see the different part of the UK. But I was very keen to, like, I wanted to be a new alumni. I wanted to be the new, do you know what I mean? Obviously you can do that at every other drama school. You can be alumni, but the first level of alumni is a really cool like prospect to have. So I was like, we'll give that a go and see if I can be.
Nice.
And the one thing they're really good at is all their teachers are current industry professionals, which I think is like a really big game changer, because a lot of drama schools can have like teachers that have been out of the game for a while, whereas our teachers were in the game, still auditioning, giving us techniques.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they were smashing. They were so good. Yeah. So yeah.
What is it you studied when you were there?
I did musical theatre for the first year when I was there.
Right.
And I had an injury, so I went to acting, screen and stage, which I really enjoyed. But I originally applied for acting and musical theatre, like as two different ones. So they let me change back over, luckily. But yeah, that's what I did.
So being quite fresh out of it, I guess it's kind of, is it hard to review your time there? Is it hard to like give an assessment, or are you like, wow, I got so much from it, I got this?
I think one of the weird things is when I think as an actor, you consistently compare your experiences to other actors like all the time. Mm-hmm. So like when I've come back to Harlow and there's so many people that have got so many different drama school experiences, and I kind of look back and think, oh, I never got that, but I did get this. And so we did a lot of contemporary plays and went into we did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which was my favourite play. Yeah. And I really enjoyed that, and that was one of the things that when I reflect, I look back on most, because it was so in depth and so dramatic.
And it is that's a play that I would like to do, actually. I've got ideas of doing that here. That'd be
brilliant. I mean, I played Nurse Ratchet, so let me know.
Did you? Do you know what? I could see you doing that.
I get that a lot.
Yeah, I get that vibe.
I guess it's so scary. You get that vibe. Oh no.
No, I can as a performer. As a performer, you've got that look, because Nurse Ratchet, she can be quite nice, can't she? There's a nice side to her. That's what makes her scary. That's what there is, this nice side. She can lure you in.
She's so kind. She's so like, that's fine. We can do that. But I'm going to cut your brains up. Like, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
But hardest role I've ever played.
What a great part to play. Yeah. What a great part.
Definitely the hardest one ever, because I hate being mean to people. I'm normally the comedy character, but I hate being mean to people, and I kept being like getting told off by my director, because I'd be like, sorry, didn't mean to. Like,
whilst you were rehearsing and you was doing it and you were feeling the emotion, and then like, no, this is not me.
Yeah, I would kind of really, really get into it, be really nasty, and then like afterwards, like the director would go like, stop there, that's cool, let's restart, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm really sorry, like, and turn to the side and be like, I didn't, and they're like, Cara, you're acting, you're fine, but I just get nervous to hurt anyone's feelings. Yeah.
Well, there is some actors I know that like to take that approach to it, that like if you've got a part like that, they like to push it and make their cast feel uncomfortable. Yeah. How do you feel about that? What would they call it? Method acting? I was going to say method acting. Yeah.
It's a very interesting concept. A lot of people in my uni drama school wrote their dissertation on like the pros and cons and your mental health and things like that. We did an immersive section at the beginning of the show, which essentially felt like method acting to me, and I really enjoyed that, and I thought it was very, very helpful. I think method acting can be very helpful, but to a degree, because I think it could be damaging to someone's, if you take it too far. There was a girl in my class who method acted a lot, and we kind of slowly watched the decline of her mental health, because she was this very, very difficult character, and she would come into uni and be completely immersed in the role, and then when it got to the show day, she was just like a shell of a person, and we were like, this is why method acting cannot be safe sometimes, and it's something you need to be careful of. But if you understand when to click out and click in, it can be really helpful.
Yeah,
so.
I've found as an actor that it took me years to fully understand it. It's not like that's one of the things I don't feel like you can fully study within drama school, because it takes that process of working out who you are as well. So when you go into, because that used to be like my thing. Yeah, I'm a method actor. I'll push things to the extreme. I played a madman in Dracula, and I shaved my hair off, and and like I was like, yeah, this is like I love that's where I found my love for acting, within like the really pushing myself to be someone
that you're not.
I'm not. But I realised like later on that someone said to me one day, you do know you're just acting. like this is acting. Act. I think it's Dustin Hoffman, his quote is like, you're acting, dear boy, just that's what you do. You act. You don't have to really be the thing. But it takes a little while to figure that out. Yeah,
definitely. I think one of the things I've always struggled with the method acting side, I've got quite a typecast, like when I'm acting and stuff, and I was doing it, I had to play a 45-year-old woman, but she was quite similar to my mum.
Right.
So I kind of spent a few days just kind of acting as I believed my mum would. I'd be in my flat in uni, and I'd be like, right, what would she do right now? And like get into the vibe of that. But I took method acting in that sense as like a child at play. And I loved the thing of always my school drama teacher told me to act like a child at play.
Lovely.
And that is exactly how I've always gone with it. Like have complete fun. Like I was playing my mum, and I was having so much fun because I was just like, and I used it with Ratchet as well. Like I used it with a lot of other characters I played. It's just like to completely immerse yourself, as in when you watch kids play. And they're completely involved. You couldn't get them out of it.
As we get older, it's harder to find that place, isn't it?
Definitely.
Because we've got all these other things in life that start to come up, all these like responsibilities and things, and all this stuff that we want to do, and so it's hard to go back there. And I again, as an actor, I forgot about play for a long time. I started acting 20 years ago, and at the beginning it was all about play, and then somewhere in between I got all serious. And then someone recently brought me back to that and was like, yeah, try and find that place like when you was 8 years old and you were having fun with this. And it's a beautiful place for a human being to be within play as well. It is really fun, isn't it?
It's so fun. I think that's the thing. I think when I was at drama school, there's times where I was playing these very serious characters or very like in-depth characters, and I'd lose the fun in the acting because the acting was so deep.
Yes, yeah.
But then I think it's the feeling that most actors have, I'm sure you can relate, is while you're in the rehearsal process, I mean, I've been known to beat myself up a bit as we're rehearsing, and always asking the director for notes, even if it was fine.
Okay.
But when I get onto the stage, it's so fun. But all the build up towards it doesn't feel just as fun.
No, I guess the nerves and the self-talk.
The adrenaline.
The adrenaline.
The adrenaline.
Yeah, the adrenaline. It can. The build-up can be quite intense, but I think the payoff and the reward is more so.
So much more.
Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of people. I mean, I can't speak for all actors all the time, can we? But a lot of reason people do it is that amazing feeling you get as soon as you get onto that stage, and you're like, I've been absolutely terrified behind the scenes right now, but I'm going out and I'm not myself right now. Like that's exactly what I say is, well, you're not you doing this, it's not you. Like you're going out there not as Cara, you're going out there as Sarah or Ratchet or whatever. Like that's why it's fun. Like it is.
And when you're doing that with a group of people, when you're doing that play and you're all in that play zone, it seems to all gel much more.
Definitely.
Whereas I found with the method acting, when there is one or two people going to the extremes with the method acting, as a group, I've seen it sometimes fall apart.
Yeah, it deteriorates, definitely.
Because it cannot be nice.
Yeah.
You know, like we're all human beings. And I saw a play recently where two of the people there was 10 in it, two of them were doing method acting, being a bully to everyone else. And the environment was just sour. It was just... Like people were coming out afterwards like, why did I get involved with that show? Like, what was that?
What was that for? Yeah.
What was that for? And so you got to be careful with that if you're going to go with the method acting. How is everyone else going to respond?
There was a guy in my class who was my McMurphy in I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. He probably won't watch this. It's fine. He's very in his own world.
We won't mention people's names.
But he played my McMurphy, and he method acted a lot beforehand. And obviously, we did the immersive. The immersive started half an hour, I think, before the show. So people started coming in, and we were in the hallways, and I was screaming at people. I screamed at my younger brother.
Pre-show.
Yeah, pre-show immersive. So we were all completely in it. But he was known to improvise a lot on stage. And to the point where we were all, I mean, at the end of the day, I think a lot of people end up improvising on stage without even realising it. You kind of get in the flow with the other actors and you give and take and it works. Whereas we all got very nervous acting with him because he would improvise so much that on my show day, there was a big punch scene that he has to punch me around the face and take me to the floor, essentially. And he was supposed to be stood right next to me, but he was so immersed in his character that he left the stage. And I was stood there thinking, stay in your role, but oh my gosh, he's about to kill me. He's a big guy. He's gonna run at me and take me out. And he actually ended up knocking me in the face.
So I didn't go to drama school, so I skipped that bit. I won't get into why, the ins and outs and why not, but did you find that they taught you much about it being a team game?
No. I think that might be to do with, I mean, I found with a lot of my friends that went to different drama schools, they have said yes, and they bonded like with their cast and stuff. Like it did feel, we had quite a divide in our class. So it did, at times it was kind of, I was kind of in the middle a lot, and I've always been that person. I don't know why, I just don't get involved. But we had this divide, so if it was the right people in the right room at the time, it really gelled, but if there were people that were on the other side of the divide, then it wouldn't always gel. And I think the directors tried really hard, like our teachers tried really hard that came in to kind of form a bond as a class, and there was definitely a bond with a lot of us, but some weren't involved, I think, and that is kind of how a lot of places do work in the end, though, because everyone has their groups, literally true. Like school. Like when you're in school, everyone's got their cliques. Yeah. And as much as you want to be this really, really big, happy cast, which you normally are by the end of the show, do you know what I mean? You're normally like, that was so great, guys, and it's totally worth all the tears.
And you've got something to connect with each individual person, haven't you, along the way?
Yeah, I think it's a positive outlook in the end. Like, it can be hard to gel in rehearsals, but then you can end up gelling on stage just as quickly as you didn't in rehearsals. So I think it's an amazing experience. But yeah, it's an interesting point, is the director's take on it. We had a different director for every show we did, and they could never really, and that's not on them obviously, but it was it's because it's like being an actor is a strange thing. It's you're doing the solitary thing that you practice alone a lot by yourself, don't you? And then all of a sudden you come together as a collective to do that. And I think some people can find it quite hard to separate that moment of all that practicing by yourself to coming together as a group. And it takes and you mentioned different directors, and some directors could bring the cast together and some quite not. I think it does come down to the director to bring everyone together, and make people realise that it is a team effort. Because if you've got one person that's decided to improvise their way through the show, how does everyone else do their thing? Yeah, exactly.
And how does that come across to the audience?
Yeah, I mean, we for that show in particular, we had a very I got all the reviews from my friends and stuff, and they said, well, we believed you were scared when he ran at you. And I was like, well, yeah, I'd hope so. I was. But there was never, because I think with the directors never intended that. And when sometimes it was just completely unexpected, and I would never have, I think sometimes as much as it is on the director, it's definitely on the actors as well. Like a lot of the times, like I'm obviously learning to direct at the minute, but I think the actors' freedom is so important. And the actors have the freedom to turn to each other and say, please don't do that. I know I've seen you in other shows, for example, are you going to improvise in this one? No, I won't. Okay. Let me just make it clear that this can't run.
Moving into being a director, how do you feel about casting people like that?
It's difficult. I think I hadn't, for the show I'm doing at the minute, I knew the people that I kind of wanted to cast in the role because I chose the girls from my drama school and things. It's all based about women, but some girls that I picked in, I did a lot of chemistry tests, even when I didn't really need to. even just bringing people into the room, like together, we did a group workshop and we did a chemistry test. But when I was watching, I was thinking, right, what I need to see is, will all these people as people get along? And then as actors, will they get along and gel in rehearsals? Like, it's two very different things. You can't really guess either, which is really, I find that really hard to do at the minute.
Yeah, and you can't always see it. It does take time to get there. And then sometimes you see relationships blossom in places you didn't expect them.
Exactly.
Within shows and things like that.
Yeah.
So what I want to get to with you is I want to find out where this all started. Where did you start being a performer and wanting to have this creative life? Has this always been who you are, or was there like a turning point for you?
I've never been asked that, which I think is really interesting. I think, I've always wanted to be a performer of some kind. Like I was little, and I think every lot of young actors have the same story. They used to put on shows for their family and things like that.
Yes, yeah.
But my dad's very musical, and my family's very musical. So a lot of the time I wanted to take the music route. But then I performed when I was little, and I absolutely bombed my nativity because I got given the wrong role. I was very upset about it.
So this was like at primary school.
Yeah, this is reception.
What was you, the lobster or something?
I was the innkeeper that said no.
Right, okay.
And I said yes. I ruined the play.
Oh no! Because I can imagine like you're feeling that build up. If you know your line's coming, is this haunting you still now?
It's one of my favourite like anecdotes. It's like I was so keen to get Mary in the nativity that when I didn't get it, I was like, this is not fair. I'm a diva. I'm not going to let this happen. And I was like, right. So I think the line was something like, "Welcome to our luxury 5-star hotel." And it was like, "Can I come in?" And I should say no, but I said, "Yeah, of course, come on in. Baby just can be born in the hotel. It's so fine." Like, and my dad tells that story a lot of the time when I'm saying that is the moment
where you turned into a diva.
Well, I was like, yeah, you're a diva and you're an actress.
Yes.
And my family have always said it. My little cousin, I think she's going to be a performer just because she is so similar to how I was when I was little. And I think it stems from there. And then again, my auntie's, she's an opera singer, so I'm very, very close with my family. So I used to go to shows all the time. My parents used to take me all the time for my birthday. It was always my thing to go into the West End with my family and watch a new show in the West End, and I used to love it. And I watched, there's the answer, I found it now. I went to watch the Pyjama Game with my nan, the musical, and it was only running in London for a short amount of time, but I watched it and I thought, oh my gosh, I want to do that. Like, let me do that. That's not fair. Like, I could do that. I know I could do that. Like, give me a go.
So what did that feel like being in that theatre, seeing that play?
Just... One, I was completely immersed in the show, but there was a part of me that just had this like hunger to be on that stage and do that show, and I felt a little bit jealous, to be honest. I thought, this isn't fair. I'm like 15 and I'm dying to be on the stage, and what are you like? You've got all this experience, all right? Like I was so like, this is not fair. Definitely was definitely a bit petty at the time, but that
could be a good thing. That could help you. That can give you a bit of drive. Like,
it definitely did.
Yeah.
I left it thinking. We went backstage and I got the autographs of the leads, and I thought, I really want to be like you. Like, this is so cool. But because a big thing for me, I'm also quite political, so I always used to think, oh, do I want to go and do politics and like really see if I can properly make a difference? But I also really want to be an actor. Like, and I was like, those two things aren't mutually exclusive. You can make a difference and be an actor. Like, that's not this is one of the main reasons I've always said is the Pyjama Game, the show was all about workers' rights. And I think one of the reasons it hit so hard was because it was really, really like punching the point in the face.
It wasn't just the performance and the bright lights. It was the story that grabbed you.
Yeah, definitely. It was both. It was very much. I'd seen a lot of shows. Like, I'd seen a lot of shows when I was little. I was very, very privileged in that respect. But this show in particular, which has been, I think, around since the 30s. Like, it's a very old show.
I don't know it.
It's not a very well-known musical. But I went and watched it, and the music was incredible. The acting was incredible. And then I kind of really understood what was happening and was like, oh my gosh, like, this is making me really think about this. And I was like, well, I could make people think about that, and let me do it. Like, so yeah, I think that's how it all started, was family and the Pyjama Game.
And the Pyjama Game. And that's interesting that you realised at that young age as well, that within the art of theatre, you can affect and change things?
Yeah. I've always just thought it was a bit of fun. I think it was when I was little, I was like, yeah, I want to be the next Hannah Montana. Well, that was my big dream. I was going to be the next Hannah Montana. And then I think as I got older, I kind of went through the motions of being a teenage girl. And it was just kind of like hormones were so heavy and not understanding yourself at such a young age.
You're discovering who you are,
exactly.
aren't you? Like it's tough for most of us.
Exactly. It is. It's really tough. But it was one of those things that made me sit there and think, they've made me think about this now. They've made me really think about how come women are getting paid less than the men, or how come this person gets paid less than this person, or how come she gets to get away with that and he doesn't, and vice versa. And I was sat there watching it thinking, oh, this love story is so good, but what about the thing that's actually happening? Which I think is common in a lot of plays and musicals, is there's a top storyline and a bottom storyline, and you watch the top storyline, but the bottom storyline is really the reason it's written, which I think it took me a while to catch on, but my room was plastered with the pajama game after that.
That's it. So you're a huge fan. I need to look into this. I need to.
It's a really good show. It was taken off the West End. I don't think it went down very well in the West End. It was like the new adapted version, but it's a very old-timey musical, which I think is one of the reasons as well that I found it interesting that it was trying to change things that are still relevant today. Like still very relevant today.
I'm guessing at some point you'd like to do it. You'd like to.
Oh, I'd love to do it. Yeah,
be in it or direct it. Like
be in it definitely. Yeah. I definitely want to be the little lead girl. I'd be like, yay! It's the song I used in my drama school auditions when I was 17. I was like, I'm gonna audition with the pajama game and see what happens, because it's the one I knew best. So yeah, it was it's a good show. I really recommend.
And that's amazing that you, like I say, that you recognise that the impact that theatre can have, and that there is, that with most of the stories that we tell, there is an underlying message that we're trying to get across.
Definitely.
So how important do you think it is that younger people do try and experience theatre and the arts?
So important. I think it's something that I think it's easily breezed over, and this is quite an odd way to say it, but I wrote about this a bit in my dissertation, is a lot of the way I see it when I was first starting into the arts, drama was kind of like the nerds. you do the school play, okay? Or you like Shakespeare, weirdo. Like, do you know what I mean? It's very easily teasable as doing drama, and also it's the easier GCSE subject, which isn't the case all the time, and it's very difficult for a lot of young people to put themselves out there and do drama when they just thought they were only playing games. So I think it's really important for them to get out, and a lot of the time the stuff you're watching will somehow relate to you. Like you'll be like, I felt like that at some point, and it doesn't even cross your mind that you're going to go see that. You just think, I'm going to go watch people stand on a stage. At that young age. I mean, I'm trying to get my brother into it.
Within normal school as well, like it can be very daunting to put yourself forward.
Exactly.
When you're 14, 15 and start saying, I want to, you might have an inkling to do it and a wanting to do it, but standing up in front of all the other people that they're going to judge you, because school kids are horrible.
Yeah, they're horrible to each other,
aren't they? Kids are horrible at that age. So you got to be brave, haven't you?
Yeah, I think it is about taking. I was one of those kids at school. I just did everything, and I was quite lucky that I didn't really care. But I got the brunt of it, definitely. Like a lot of, there was always a lot of, you doing the school play, or like you do like why you do everything, like what do you need? Why are you doing that for? Why are you reading in assembly and things like that? And it's like, well, then I can perform. Like, but I was very lucky to be 10, 11 really. And thought, I want to do the arts, I want to perform. And a lot of people don't find that. A lot of young people don't find what they really want to do until they leave school now at all. Like,
well, I know 40 and 50-year-olds.
They still don't know what they want to do. Definitely,
do. So if you find it at a young age, that's a blessing. So how did you find that strength to overcome your peers and the pressure that in the judgment?
It's a hard. That's always an interesting question, because I think it actually didn't take me till after I left school to like, I would still do it. I think I was very lucky to have a very supporting family who were very much like, you've just got to, do you know what I mean? You got to give it your all and go for it. And I was always just like, I was kind of known as like the drama kid, I reckon. Like it was always, people have seen me putting out my show poster now that I went to school with, and they're like, hello, like, shock horror, you're doing a show. Like I was very, I'm very animated anyway. So, but I think the people at school started to leave you alone when you stopped caring what they they would shout stuff and I'd be like, no, like I don't actually care, because I'm doing what I love. And it took me a long time to get to that point. I think at first it was very, very difficult. It was very weird to kind of understand where I was going. Like, am I just doing this because maybe people will notice me more? Like, do you know what I mean? Like when you're 13 or 14, especially for the younger girls as well, it's very much like the boys go out and play football and the girls sit down, like, you know. And I was lucky enough to spend all my lunchtimes in the drama room, but people would be very funny about it.
Judgmental.
It's very, very judgmental. Without even like showing that they're being judgmental. A lot of the time kids don't realise they're being horrible or affecting it. But
no, and a lot of the time that's like passed down to them, so they're doing the behaviours that they've seen from perhaps their parents or from other kids, from the environment that they're in. But actually, how much?
I've got the actual. See, it takes me a minute. I have to process things before
okay.
I can answer the question.
We've got the time.
It's been well known that anyone who knows me knows that like I kind of answer the question and then realise my actual answer afterwards, which is so funny to me. I never understand why I do it.
Well, I think like the brain's like as we're going through like these conversations and we're having this moment, your brain's kind of like taking little bits at a time, isn't it? And then like definitely. All of a sudden we'll like spurt something out and you'll be like,
that's what I want to say.
And often with me, I'll get it like tomorrow or a week later.
Literally. It's like, why was I was going to say that, but like what was I actually, what should I said that?
And it's often in an audition.
Yeah, it's so like, true.
Yeah.
You never know. It's always like, oh, that was
not the answer.
I did not say the thing I wanted to say. But no, I think the actual thing that got me through was the other drama kids, which sounds weird, but
okay.
It's like everyone went through that. Everyone was the weird kids in their year. Like I had friends in all different years. I saw one literally last week and was like, Cara, oh my gosh. And I was like, this is so cool. You're like 4 years above me in school, but we bonded because we were in the school show. So if we all felt sad, we all had this common interest that we got picked over. So we all kind of just stuck together, which I think is, you don't really get that in many, like the arts, you get that, but I couldn't.
Yeah, maybe you get it in sports.
Yeah, I was going to say sports, maybe, yeah.
You know, like you said about the boys playing football.
Yeah.
You know, I think that we still build tribes.
Yeah, definitely.
That we still go out and we try and, you know, if we're lucky to, because some people don't find their tribe. And it can be very hard to find that in school, because in school you're basically thrown into a building with people that just live in your postcode. Yeah,
like, literally.
That's what it is. It's just everyone that lives nearby, isn't it? So for them to be the people that you click with can be quite rare.
I had a very small clique. I had a very small tribe. I had two girls, and I've always kind of had two good friends, and then I've been friendly with everyone, which I think is quite a good way to go about things. Like, I think there's a lot of pressure for young girls, especially, to be popular, and to and to to be these popular girls, and to have it all at the age of 13. And it's but if you can find the girls that will solidly stick with you through it all, then
I've found for me that it's just important to have one good friend, one person to know that there's just one person there that will have your
always
back,
be there,
rather than 100 or 10
definitely.
or even 10. Like, you know, a small circle's often a
small circle.
Tight
that's the way I think that's the way you could survive secondary school, is just keep your circle small, and and if you know what you want to do and you're lucky enough to know what you want to do, just do it, because you'll get to an older age and just think, oh damn it, like I really wish I did that. And obviously I'm not at the older age yet, but there's many things in school I was like, oh, like I wish I'd given that more of a go, or I wish I'd not listened to what they said and just carried on doing it. But it's a good way to go, is the extracurriculars at school. Like, I was very much one of those people, but it helps you form friendships that if I was walking down the corridor and someone was mean to me, 5 minutes later I'll see someone in the year above me that I did drama with, and they'll come over and say, you okay? And I'm like, oh yay, someone who knows me and knows that I'm not this big nerd, or I'm not this, do you know what I mean? I'm not this overly keen person, which I think also is a problem in schools, is if people are keen to do stuff and want to do it, they're then a keener or they're a try-hard. But they actually just really enjoy doing what they're doing. Like,
should just try and be less judgy towards it.
Literally, just
like let people
nice,
do their thing.
Yeah.
Let each other discover themselves, and like amazing things might happen.
Exactly.
You know, you can't force that though. to happen. Like I say, kids a lot of it is they're taking that on from what they've seen from their parents or from the other groups that they're the other circles that they're involved with. So for me, yeah, I didn't go to drama school because I didn't have a good time at school. School was a place that I didn't find people that I could connect with. All the boys wanted to play football. I didn't want to play football. I didn't enjoy drama at school. The way that it was taught and the embarrassment of getting up in front of everyone, I didn't like that. So I was just lost through secondary school, and it was just I didn't like it. And I found drama at the Playhouse, the local theatre, and I found it was called the Playhouse Young People's Theatre at the time, and I did find my clique there. I did find my people through that, the people that I got on with. And I did go to college and I did study at college acting, but I found when I went to college and did acting, everyone was doing it as a DOS lesson.
Really?
Like everyone that was there was doing it just because they left school and it was the easiest subject that they could,
That's so interesting.
And I was like, these people aren't like the people that I'm doing the stuff at the theatre with. What's this about? And I just was like, I'm just done with education. Yeah. I just want out. Looking back, I'm like, that was a mistake. I should have tried the theatre schools, the drama schools. So do you think, how different do you feel the education was at drama school?
I think one thing that shocked me there was the college thing. Did you go to Harlow College?
I did, yeah.
That's I found
20 years ago. Yeah. So it's different. I think it's very different now.
Yeah, I think I was looking at drama school, but I was looking at universities and still kind of thinking, do I want to go into politics and things when I was at sixth form. But I did sixth form for a year and then I went to Harlow College to do performing arts. Everyone was, I don't want to do this, I want to perform. And college was it was incredible. Like everyone there had the same kind of fire. And then I went to drama school and I thought, everyone here's got the same fire. And then it's daunting, to be honest. It's very intimidating to like look around and see that there's this fire you think you've been originally given. Right, okay. Everyone seems to have a different version. Like I wouldn't say you'd have the same.
And some people are going to be very loud with that. Yeah.
And some people are very, very subtle. I've met so many different types of actors that I've worked with. Like some are very competitive, like very, very, even if you're in a cast together, there's a competition vibe, and it doesn't, and I've never really felt that way. I've always kind of thought, well, let's put on a great show. Like I could be.
You sound like that. I'm going back to that team thing. Yeah, it's a team sport. You sound like a team.
Oh yeah, I definitely. I think the show can literally, you can lose a show by one person not enjoying it and one person not giving it. Like the cast morale, I think, is so important, and especially like we were saying, the problem with drama schools and our cast, and I think our shows probably could have been 100 times better if we all had each other's backs a bit more.
Yes, yeah.
Not that they were bad.
No,
they were fun, but
you know what you could have achieved if you'd have.
If we trusted each other, like trust is a massive thing, with actors. Like when I was in college, I was working with some people there, and I was the new kid. I turned up a year late, and I was given the role of the nurse. Again, it's an ongoing joke in my family that I'm always the nurse. I was given the role of the nurse, and I've never acted with these people before, but they had given it their all, so I gave it my all, and then.
You try and raise each other's game.
Exactly, yeah. And it's not even like that could be competitive to some people. Like you can raise each other's game in a competitive sense, or you can raise it in a way of like, this is so cool. Like, okay, push me more, and it's not competitive; it's motivational. And I remember being on stage with one of the guys in my college, and he was just I was acting with him, looking in his eyes and completely believing everything he was saying, and I felt like he could believe what I was saying, and I was completely believing in our conversation. Like there was not even a part of me that thought I was Cara there and then. Every part of me was like, yep, you're Romeo and I'm the nurse. Like, because it was very impressive, and it was very, it was motivational rather than competitive. And I think that's where it can kind of collapse, is if you start both being in it, but not really being in it because you feel competitive with them.
So how can you feel less competitive then?
I knew that was coming when I said that. I was like, I don't know. I'll keep hitting this.
Right.
I actually don't know
because we want these parts. We want to do them. We want to do them well. We want to do them to the best of our ability. Hopefully, you know. Yeah. Otherwise, why the hell are we doing this anyway? So yeah, how do we do it as a team sport? How do we do it? Someone said to me recently that theatre is like a machine with all these different clogs moving, and you've got some big clogs and you've got some small clogs, but you take one out, then the machine stops, you know, or one bit's a bit rusty, and then the bigger ones, you know, they don't move quite so well, you know, it's like this machine, and it keeps moving forward. And I think I should find the quote, it was on the podcast actually. But yeah, how do you keep everyone as a shiny clog in that machine? I think it's like,
I think that bit is quite on the director, to be honest, that part, because that is, again, it's like the morale, but like the morale can be done, but the small, you know, the phrase, there's no small parts, only small actors. And that's a lot of, I've been given a few small parts, and obviously I've been quite lucky in drama school, but I was given smaller parts. But those smaller parts can steal a show. They can easily steal a show. It could literally have been, you had 3 lines, but your presence and your vibe on stage is so strong that you can steal a show. And I think a lot of people / actors can be very disheartened when they're not given the lead role or something like that. And it's obvious because you want it. You've been competitive. You've been auditioning. The competition is there, and you feel like you've lost. And I think that's easy for people to go, oh well, I didn't get it, so I don't care. Like,
do you know, I always think about when someone says to me about small parts, I always jump to Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs. Now, do you know Silence of the Lambs? Yeah, like epic classic film. That he was in that film for 13 minutes. 13 minutes. Now you think about that film and you consider him as the lead actor. You consider him. You think 13 minutes. You think he's the main part. He won an Oscar for that role. He was in it for 13 minutes. That shows you how powerful a performance can be. Yeah. 13 minutes out of an hour and 30.
That is insane.
You know, there is a whole other film going on. Yeah. But when he's there, he is everything, and that power resonates through the rest of the film as well, doesn't it? Definitely. And that's the same with theatre when you have these parts.
That's when I've been casting this show, I've given someone a smaller role in that case, but it's such an integral role, and I always think, again, the competition to the motivation is you could be the lead and you turn to a supporting and they're not in it. And the show just crumbles because they're not in it, because they're not the lead, and it's the competition side. And if you, pardon me again, it's the water.
I stopped allowing people.
You're getting me to burp on the podcast.
That's all right. I took in the couple of early episodes of this, people were having cokes and beers, and I was like, and everyone's burps. I was like, no more beers, no more cokes, just water for everyone.
I shouldn't have eaten dinner so soon beforehand. But no, I think it's the competition. It's definitely, and like you say, if you have all these parts that are clogging together, and you have, like, that is such an amazing way to say it, is the machine part. And it's also so, like you say, if a screw comes loose, the machine stops working, and that is so. If your director doesn't still pay attention to the small screws, it can stop working in the same way. Like, if you as the smaller part start loosening yourself, it can damage it. It's the director, it's the cast, and it's the actor themselves that have to connect to make that a brilliant show and motivational and not competitive, in my opinion.
It's a good opinion. So what made you want to be a director as well? What made you want to do that side of it?
I think college gave a bit of that vibe. I did a bit of literally we only did one show when I was there because COVID hit in my second, like halfway through my year at college. But I'd helped choreograph stuff and that, and I'd watched the other people in my class that had assistant directed and things like that. And then I'd kind of helped out a lot at uni, like with my director stuff, I'd always be like, how can I help out with this stuff? And I'd kind of really enjoyed it. And I lived with a director in my last year of uni. I lived in these warehouses in London, and she was like 33, I believe. If I get that wrong, she's going to kill me. Let's hope she's older than
younger.
that. And I've
go
gone
young. Go younger.
Yeah, she was 24, and she would do these massive shoots. She said, I went to drama school as an actor, and I realised I love directing, and I love it. She comes home, she's knackered, but she's loving it. And she helped me improve my ratchet. And I was helping some of my other friends with audition techniques and stuff like that. Like the younger years at uni, I'd be like, if you need any help with anything, like we'd always help each other out and stuff. And I started like giving suggestions. We all started giving suggestions in class, and I'd see that mine would kind of work, and I was like, maybe I'd really enjoy doing this. And I was a youth leader for NCS. Do you know NCS?
I don't. But
it's a scheme that 16-year-olds go on when they finish GCSEs. And it's essentially how to become better citizens and how to impact social change in your communities. So I loved doing that, and I realised I really enjoyed engaging with people, and I thought, this is kind of like directing. Like I quite enjoy this, and I'd always make them play the drama school games. Like I'd always be like, right, we're gonna do some splat. We're gonna like loads of different games again.
Well, because it works for team building, and
exactly. And I think that is exactly why I went into directing, was seeing the difference I made in the young people in that time. Like I see some of them in town still, like in Harlow Town. They're like, hi Cara, how are you? And I'm like, oh my gosh, which one were you? Like, but also I do remember you, because it's the fact that they still say hello and
lovely
and wanted to make a difference. I had teenagers doing flash mobs, and to me that is crazy. They were like, the beginning of the 2 weeks, they were like, no, I don't want to do anything about this. No, I'm not bothered. And then next thing you know, they're dancing to Don't Stop the Feeling for men's mental health. And you're like, brilliant. Like,
so you really took your experience with performing and showed it to these young kids. And what do you think they took from it?
I think it was kind of known in NCS that if they were my group, they'd end up doing some sort of flash mob or some sort of thing to do with theatre. Nice. A lot of the time we had people who cared. They were so self-conscious. They cared so much about looking cool and all of this. But a lot of the times I get up with them and show them that I don't care about looking cool or not. And they would kind of go, well, if she don't care, I don't care. And it would be a slow burner, definitely. And I think a lot of, it goes straight back to act like a child at play. Like reminding them that they're 16, you can still have fun, you can still be silly. Like, yes, you're having trust me, you're having a hard time, puberty is really hard, but you can be silly. Like, come out and be silly, and a lot of the time, literally, play. Yeah. Like, please play. Like,
I think that's where we learn. I think we learn so much as a child playing.
Yeah.
Through play, don't we?
Yeah.
We discover everything that we do. So why did that need to stop at 4 or 5 years old?
Yeah, why does it stop? And it's sad. It's really, really, really sad.
And I guess we do enjoy games, don't we? Like, we play Xboxes and PlayStations.
Yeah, definitely.
So we still enjoy playing the games and the board games maybe and stuff. But if we can bring it into the other areas that we do you think it has a place outside of drama play? Do you think it has a place in like normal everyday life?
Yeah, I do. I really do. Yeah. I mean, I think it's quite easy for me to say that as an actor. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be like, yeah. But
let's go to this. Have you had any experience outside of theatre and acting and drama?
Oh yeah, I've done hospitality. Like that's
okay. What have you done in hospitality?
I've been a barista. I've helped run coffee shops. I recently left the pub literally down the road to here.
Right. Okay.
There's a bar supervisor there. And then I did cleaning ambulances during COVID. Like, I always work. I'm kind of known for always like working while I act. But
it's very difficult to not have that, isn't it? It's, because wanting to have a performing life, a life in theatre and drama, and you got to have side hustles going on. You've got to have part-time jobs.
You've got to be versatile. You've got to. But again, that's where the play I think that's where actors and playing can come into it. Like if you can play, I keep doing this. I keep attacking your microphone. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. It won't attack you back. It's fine.
Like in stressful situations, if you can start to play with the stressful situations in your life, then it can take away a lot. It can be, again, like hospitality. There's sometimes things happen in hospitality where literally it's like someone didn't get their cake on time, for example, but it's the biggest deal in the world to everyone because they didn't get the cake on time. But if you can play around with that and you, oh my Christ, like, no way, didn't you? And everyone kind of goes into it and completely plays and goes, okay, I'm going to play the difficult customer now. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to play, oh, I don't actually care. And it's a way to, I think it's a better way to look at life in all stressful workplaces and in all parts. Playing is, I think, really in a lot of workplaces already. Yeah. Not even in just actors. I think it already is incorporated in a lot of people's mindsets.
Yeah, like, I try and adapt it to. I do a lot of things outside of acting and theatre, and I've set up a lot of businesses over the years, and I always see them as like a game. I like, even in the worst moments when things are going wrong, I always see them as, I'm playing at this. Because literally, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Yeah. If you've got, you might, what's the worst thing that could happen? You could like lose some money, you could like lose a client, or so, like, I used to run a web design business, and things would often go wrong. Servers would crash and things, and emails going wrong. But you could have a breakdown over these things, or you could go back to that state of play and sort of strategize. And what if this? Yeah. What if that?
What if is such a big thing. I think it's a massive thing that isn't spoken about a lot in life. Like the what if is the key to play, is the key to thinking more creatively, I think. Because that's how kids start playing. It's literally like, what if we played doctors? What if we played this? What if we did that? Yeah. And it's a very interesting way to, you can, a lot of times most of our decisions are made off of the what ifs, but they can be, like you said, they can be done in play. Yeah. And it can make everything lighthearted and easier if you play with the what ifs.
Play with the what ifs. Experiment. And or even experiment to see how bad it could actually get sometimes. Like you don't have to actually go through with the stuff. You can use your imagination and start going, right, okay, let's start planning out in my mind, like, what if I say this? What if I say this? Or, and like exactly. You can start to, so you can really take the skills that you've learned with acting, the skills that you learned with play at a young age, and adapt it to life. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
definitely.
We're discovering some stuff here, aren't we?
Yeah, we're getting very philosophical. Hello?
Philosophy?
Philosophical.
Got
it!
That's it. There's a proper word for these.
I was like, there's a word.
And it's funny. I'm so like that. I don't get, it's funny. It's like, when I started doing this whole podcast thing, some people are like, Martin, you can't pronounce words right. You can't say you can't find words. What are you doing? Just doing a talk show type thing? Like, how's that even going to work?
I think a lot of actors do that.
Yeah, do you know what? I think everyone does it.
Everyone does.
No one's perfect, and I think the media has tried to make everyone look shiny and perfect, and I think we're in an era now where we're seeing through that.
Yeah. Agreed.
We're in an era of, even social media did it for a while. I think there was you've grown up with social media. For me, social media came in when I was about 18. So I had a life before that I can remember slightly. but I saw this whole era of, you look at people, even people and be like, they've got the perfect life.
But they
don't. They just made it look shiny, and we started to realise these people that are going in private jets, they hired the private jet and it didn't even take off the ground. And these people that are flashing all the wads of cash, it wasn't really real cash, and all the
it gives the younger people like unrealistic expectations of their life and how they like. I think when you're like kind of at the age that my age, like, what's the word?
We'll find the words.
What is the word? There's a word. My generation.
Yep.
That's the word.
Your people, your age group.
We kind of, like, when I was working with the younger people at NCS, we kind of still have the the people around us that say, well, yeah, well, it's not perfect. You got to realise that, and you kind of have the slight knowledge of being like, yeah, that's not going to be real. This is shiny. This is too much. But then the younger generation, like my younger brother, just thinks that all his friends have a very cool life. When they're the same life as he's living, a very similar life to what he's living, and it's just the way that they're portraying it on social media.
They present it,
but there's not a realisation yet that that is how they're presenting it.
So is it? So I was getting too hopeful then, maybe.
Yeah, but I think
am I getting too? Is it just me that's seeing through it? Is it my generation that's seeing through it?
No, I think it's very interesting because in the recent years, like probably in the last 5-6 years. There's been a lot more like let's talk about positivity and let's talk. Do you know what I mean? Body positivity has been massive on social media, and like especially again, I always go back to the women's side of it. But it's always been very big, and is always like Photoshop. Girls got to Photoshop. Girls got to tune their faces. Girls got to fix how they look in this, or
and
get that one's hair's out of place. All these apps to do it. And then there was this whole massive movement where everyone was going, look at my stretch marks, look at this, and it slowly fades back away when the next perfect body has come out, and the next young girl is then self-conscious when she doesn't need to be. Or she doesn't need to be, sounds like she's not justifying. I'm not unjustifying it, do you know what I mean? It's not.
No, because it's put back in my day. That makes me sound so old. Back in my day. But it used to be magazines.
Yeah.
So you'd get like Top of the Pops magazine it was clearly aimed at like 13 to 14-year-olds and particularly girls. But you'd open it up and you'd see all these perfect people, all these other perfect girls that were, just in their body shape wasn't almost like not natural unless you don't eat.
Yeah.
You know, and so they were coming up expecting that that's how they have to look. And so it isn't unjustified that they feel that because it's being put onto them. And now that's been happening with social media.
Well, you could, I think there's the word
that begins with
philosophical. Got it again. Oh Lord, lovely stuff. To get very. I'm not going to try again about it.
We'll just put. Do you know what? Like in the edit, we'll just every time we're going to say it, we'll just put a little caption.
We'll just pop it in there. Yeah. But it's actually one of the things I like to kind of. One of my favourite things I've always done. I've got a few friends that I get with like this, and we always go, how far back can you go? Because you can easily blame it on social media now, and that's not me saying that social media isn't harmful. It definitely can be. But there's harmful stereotypes from the age of like 3, like, and that's not Barbies in my opinion. Like Barbies obviously can be, but like women are given a baby doll, like from the age of like 2 to look after, and like here you go, your job will now be mother at 2 years old. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, does it start from magazines there, or does it start from when the boys are giving tools because they have to be handymen and they have to be, they have to be the lads, and the women have to be the mothers, and that is what they're given, and that's just how our society is engineered at the minute, hopefully not forever. And then as you get older it then continues to worsen. So you start with the doll, you start with, like, for a woman, I can't speak on behalf of men obviously, so like for a young girl, I had a baby Annabelle, and I had the baby Annabelle, I'd look after baby Annabelle. I wasn't allowed Barbies because my dad was very progressive, but then I'd get the magazines and then I'd see the models, and I go, how am I supposed to be a mum and have a model body, and how am I supposed to do this, and that starts at like the age of like 5 or 6, before you've even at all developed in any sense or form, and then you have to go into social media when you hit like 13, and then it just keeps going, which, like, you can easily say social media is a harmful presence, which it definitely can be, but you can definitely go back further. That's something I always think about.
Why do you think society puts those pressures on us, particularly women?
I knew this is very interesting. Like, I think it is literally the generational way that it has been for years, and it's a slow change. It takes parents to slowly change it. Like, I think women have, from the beginning of time, have just been engineered to breed, sadly enough. So that is a lot of it is like, they're there, they'll look pretty, and then they can, and I think they must look nice, and they must be good for childbirth, and that is the way that they were been taught, and the recent Barbie film has shown otherwise.
I haven't seen it
but
yet.
It's I think the actual answer will come out in like about 5 minutes.
All right.
So
That's
you
all
know,
right. We've got
you know
time.
what I was saying
We've got
earlier.
time.
I'm going to talk for a while and then realise what I wanted to say. But I think it's very easy for us to blame it on the parents and blame it on that, but also it's our peers, and it's like media a lot of the time. Sometimes it is the arts that can, you know, you produce a show and you don't actually realise how damaging that could be to society, or how, you know, that could change society for now, but then it could be taken the wrong way later. And I think for women especially, from when I was little, one little delve into my personal life, I lost my mother at a very young age. So I had this little baby Annabelle, and then I met my loving stepmom. I love her to bits. It was a good big shout out to her here. But I had this baby Annabelle, but no mum. And like my friends all had their baby Annabelles, and the girls would go out and play and take their kids on the swings and take the way that, you know, and they do all these things of, they'd already be bearing responsibility. And the same with the guys, where they'd have to play with the tools and have to fix things. Obviously I can't talk so much, but, and then the woman continuously feels the need to bear responsibility and to be caring and to be kind, but not to be too kind, not to be too emotional, not to be, you know, and it starts literally by putting that. But then what do you give your kids to play? Because I wanted a baby Annabelle when I was that age. I wanted that. Yeah. So it's like, it's hard to, it's so hard to navigate.
Yeah. I guess there's a natural instinct there a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, also I think children should have the freedoms to choose other things and explore and play.
Yeah. And play.
And play with all these, you know, and even boys, if they want to play with baby dolls and things, I think that should be fine as well.
I used to dress up my little brother for that reason. He used to wear my princess dresses.
Did he mind though?
I don't think he had any idea, to be honest. I'd be like, let's get some inclusivity. I was like 15 years old, and I was like, you are 3. Let's put you in a Disney princess dress. And my dad was like, we'll show that to all his friends when he's 18. And I was like, I don't think he'll even. I hope he doesn't care then. I hope he finds it funny. Do you know what I mean? Or doesn't.
Well, you're telling everyone about it now as well. So.
Yes. Sorry, Isaac. He's no. But I think it's playing. It's fun, and I watch my little brother now. He's 13 years old, and he's still so silly. Like, they just silly, and but the girls that he's friends with are not as silly. They've grown so quickly. They've come to secondary school and almost hated each other. Like from the instance they've all walked in, it's a competition. They're very competitive.
Hopefully they can get out of that. Like it's for a moment.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting take, because I think women are so competitive. Like, it's always seen that men are the competitors, but women are so competitive. We're just so subtle about it.
Yes,
we're so subtle. Like, we could be lovely to each other, and men would be like, yes, that's not generalization, but you know, a lot of guys. My dad, for example, use an example. I'd be like, I'd say hello to someone, and it would be very like, yeah, how are you? And you? Yeah, good. Okay, I'll see you later. I really hate her. And it's like, what? You're like a really good friend. So like, what? And there's mind games, and it's subtle mind games, which I think is off book.
Well, so so is this what all of these things that you've had in your life, and these experiences you've had, and this Offbook Theatre Company? Yeah. It's a voice for women, isn't it? Yeah, is what you want it to be.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, and that's come from your experience to want to do that, because you could just have a theatre company, and just do shows without a mission statement. Yeah. But what you've got a mission statement and a belief, haven't you, for this? So what is that?
It's to create a platform for young women. Like, I think particularly younger women, inclusive of all, but particularly younger women. To start speaking about the things that are really, really affecting us, and the things that are really hitting the younger generation, because there is a gap now. There is a big gap between the younger generation of women and the older generation of women. The older generation of women say, well, that's just what life is. And the younger generation of women are going, but why? But why am I feeling all these things? And these things are really horrible. And you know, and we want to. The times have changed, and they will change again next year, next time, where the older women have been screaming for so long that they've almost given up. So the younger women need to keep going, but we're going to try different ways, and that's what Offbook is. We're not gonna sit and scream. We're not gonna be like, these are all the things that are wrong with the world and men. Like, again, feminism has a tainted outlook these days as well, which is not, which is that it's not to be equal. It's not to be, it's to hate men. It's to villainize men, and it's like, no, let's just talk about the women's issues. We're not attacking anyone.
So what is feminism now? Because I know these things evolve, don't they? Yeah. These terms that we give types of ideas and philosophies. Yeah. And the term has changed from what it was, or from when it started. I think it kind of really, I might be wrong here, did it kind of take off in like the 50s and the 60s, feminism? Yeah. And it's changed a lot since then. So what is it? What would you say it is now?
We like to use the word girlhood. No.
Girlhood? Oh, I haven't heard this. Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing that's ever evolving. Because feminism, I'm just going to burp again. Blimey, it's literally just some water, Cara. Get a grip. But like feminism, I think feminism has negative connotations, but also has so many positive connotations for so many women out there. And it's not something we want to take away. We just want to focus on the younger women, like girlhood. Girlhood and womanhood can come hand in hand here. Girlhood has been an ongoing social trend for the last couple of years, I'd say, about the things you love about being a woman, because it is so hard to be a young woman this day and age. Like, it is. Like, for example, in the next month or so, the clocks change or something, and to men that means an extra hour of sleep or less than an hour of sleep, but to women that means they don't have to hold their car keys in their hand when they're walking down the street. They don't have to look behind them as much because it's still broad daylight. They don't have to they don't have to get an Uber instead of a bus just to make themselves feel safer walking down the street. And but the main thing that Offbook is focusing on a lot of this is the romanticism of it all, like how women grow up to believe in the rom-coms and the romance and all this exciting stuff, and then slowly get hit with the actual statistics of what it feels like to be a woman, what it feels like to walk down the road at 16 years old and it's dark and you've just come back from school, but this man's walking very close to you, or another woman is walking very close to you. You know?
It does happen like to men as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I had it recently. I was walking down a cycle path at night and there was a guy following me.
Definitely, yeah. It is. It's not. This thing is. It's not exclusive.
No,
to
but there
women,
is
but it's a higher chance.
There's a vulnerability for women.
Yeah,
that's real.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's. The main thing that the show we're doing coming up. I keep going back onto it because it's like it plays into our mission statement. Is that the statistics are the main point of the show. We've done it. The way that I wrote it was, we're here to talk about girlhood and women's issues and how these younger girls are really struggling to get their voices heard because we have screamed so much for so many years, and things are changing. There's a lot of positive things happening. They've got many different ways to talk to each other now and form wholesome moments between the girls. And like I said before, girls can be horrible to each other too. But I've completely lost my train of thought now. Where was I going? The statistics. There we go. That was quite quick. That was quite quick for me. I'm quite surprised actually. The statistics literally speak for themselves. So we just need to put the statistics on a stage. Yes,
because no one. This is an interesting thing about entertainment and the value within storytelling and getting a message across. Because no one wants to learn through the statistics, do they? No one wants to hear certain percentage of women were attacked this week while walking home in the dark. It doesn't have any effect. Whereas if you understand the journey of that person that got attacked, their life, and you can have some empathy with their story, and you can make it relate to yourself, then perhaps you can have an effect on it not happening quite so much.
Exactly. I think it's the main thing that we want to start. The main thing that I've been saying is we want to create equality. We want to create a safer place for women. Like, there's so many things we want to do with our art and that we want to do as a company and as women. Like, so many women will relate when I say that we all want to look after each other, but there's there is such thing as toxic femininity. Like it is so like girls are horrible to each other, like I've said earlier. So how are we going to start to make a change with the issues between men and women if we can't even back each other up? And if we're in a club and this guy grabs a girl and the girl doesn't go, come on girl, let's grab, because that's what we have started to learn to do. I've had a few times where I've been on a train and a guy's come and chatted with me. I'm like, you're right, and all this. I'm kind of like, please leave me alone. Like, I just want to go home. I've been on shift all day. Like, leave me alone. And some random lady has come up and been like, hey, it's been ages. How you been? I'm like, hey. Oh, cool. But I've also been in situations where that hasn't happened and the man has continued on. And again, we're not saying these are what all men do. It's just statistics. Like, the way that they come in and women will just, because they're terrified to speak up in front of that situation. Like if that woman came over, she's then at risk. But then it's 2 against 1. And that's where the girlhood comes in. We'll look out for each other. And like you said with the statistics, we're marketing it, hopefully, so that people know that it's a rom-com. The show is a rom-com. Like it really is. It's so cute. Everyone's having a girly time. They're having chats. They're like, oh my gosh, I think he likes me. No way, never heard that. I mean, it's so rom-commy and so sweet. And that's the point. Because if we did this massive piece on like, and then we all were angry because this happened, it's another show that people have gone to watch to see what it's about, and then been like, oh,
what's it called?
The Wrong Idea.
The Wrong Idea. And you wrote this?
Yeah, this is what I wrote, yeah.
So is this the first thing that you've wrote?
Yeah. I mean, I've written a few like short things beforehand, but never released or anything.
The first thing that you're putting out there.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
That's brave.
It's terrifying.
I know.
It's terrifying.
Because when you write something, you're doing something different. I like to think it comes from your. This is going to sound deep. I like to think when you're writing, it comes from inside and it comes from like your soul.
Yeah.
And you're bearing that soul, and you're allowing to see people to hear your deepest, darkest thoughts or lightest thoughts, but your thoughts.
Yeah.
So it's brave to write. I think it's incredibly brave to write and then share and then put that on in front of people.
So many people, it's terrifying. I think it's the first time I've ever done. I've performed like original songs and things, which for me felt quite similar. Like it does feel like I've gone out and I've given this a go. But then I did it in school. Like I'd wrote a song and I performed it in school, and the people would take the mick out of the song for ages. But then I'd forgotten about that for years. And I think, I mean, you've got to bear your soul. You've got to, otherwise, nobody will. Like if I'm sat here and I'm like, I really want to make a difference, but I'm not prepared to like bare my soul and put that on the line, then how is anyone else going to do that?
How are you going to make an impact?
How is it ever going to happen? And I think we've got into rehearsals at the minute, and the show, the girls are already bearing their souls so much. Like it's the reciprocation that I think. I mean, I'm the most self-critical person. I've got it my whole life from every teacher and friend I've got. They're like, why do you just put yourself down all the time? And I think I've changed the show about 8 times since I've written it. Like I'm like, no, it's not good enough. I hate it. It's jarring me now. And it's like,
so you're a perfectionist.
I'm such a perfectionist, but it will never be perfect, will it? Because it will just be show day, and it will be like, okay, well, let's see what happens. But I will drill it.
And that's the beautiful thing about doing theatre, I think, is that there's a time and a place when it's going to happen. Yeah. Like as soon as you say, oh, tickets are on sale, like it's going to happen at that time and date.
Literally happened yesterday. I was like, okay, this is my show now.
So now you're moving forward. You're on that machine. That machine is starting to come together. Yeah.
Exactly.
I want to find out a bit more about the writing before we get into and I want to get into the play. But so the writing, what does that process look like to you? How did that start?
It actually started before I went travelling. When I was living in London, and I was very lonely, and I was really, really keen to write about how frustrating dating apps are.
Okay. See, I wouldn't. That's interesting because you're young and you've got things going for you. Dating apps, I wouldn't even thought would have been on like your radar.
Yeah,
are they on the radar for all young people?
I think a lot of people. Yeah, like it does depend. I think I've always been like a romantic person. I've always had, you know, like I just love everyone and everything. I'm very like loving, and for me it was I was like, I'd had a bad breakup like a year and a half before I wrote the show, and all the people I was living with were on dating apps, and we were like, yeah, let's just go for it. And
I guess it's a way to a way to connect with people.
I think at some point I believed that it was really like, I mean, I met someone that I was seeing for a while on there, and it was lovely, but it can just feel like a game, because you're just like, these people aren't real. No, this is not real. I don't believe that this is not.
I had a little bit of experience with it about 18 months ago, and I was in a relationship for 16 years.
Yeah.
And so before that 16 years, they didn't exist.
Yeah.
In fact, I went to someone's wedding about 16 years ago, and they met online in a chat room. You probably don't even know what a chat room is.
No, I do. You're fine.
Like MSN chat room. Yeah. They met in there, and they got married, and the whole wedding, everyone was there. Was like, they met in a chat room. Like, this is super weird. And then like 16 years later, I'm out of a relationship, and I go on these dating apps, and it's like the norm.
Yeah, it's so normal.
And I was normal. Like, no one's meeting in real life now, and everyone's judging you based upon your photo. What if it can't be too posy? It can't be under posy. Like, it can't be too natural. Like, you don't care, but it can't be too much. And then there's all the then it's about your text chat.
Yeah, then it's about your bios.
Your bios, what you're putting in your bios, how you sell it. You can't oversell, but you can't undersell. And it's like it's not real.
It's not.
You're creating a package that isn't really you. And then the people that you're meeting aren't really. They don't fit. It doesn't. No, and there was someone that I met that clearly used Photoshop, like 100% used Photoshop, and so I thought this world is horrible now.
Yeah, the dating world is horrible. That's why.
And I didn't realise it was for younger people. They were experiencing that.
Yeah, I think it's. I had kind of had your first love, and I had the big first love, and it was amazing. Just didn't work out, and then. And they were like, get on the dating apps. And I was like, cool. And I was like, this is crazy. And I kind of hired my standards on the dating apps. Like, I was very much like, no. I was like...
Ideal man only, like, because there's so many options.
There's so many options. So I was like, I'm just... And I couldn't really, really understand it. And I've always been such a lover girl. Like, I've got such a big heart. And then it made me... This has just come into my head about it. But when... The last guy I dated, and I met him, and I went, and I met him in real life. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I'm so the type of person to meet someone in real life. I like video chatting and calling, because it feels like I can actually talk to you. I hate texting, because I'm just like this. I don't know how to, do that.
Yeah.
And that's where the play started with literally hideous things that had been said to me on dating apps, like on how I've acted on dating apps, or they've acted on dating apps, and how like it's not real. Like,
what kind of hideous things would you experience through that?
I've had some bad ones.
Or have you got to come and see the play to find out?
Well, it's not even in the play. That's the maddest part. It's not even in the play.
So this kind of inspired the play.
It inspired it.
But it didn't necessarily. It didn't actually.
No, it hasn't made it into the play at all. Dating apps are not even in the play, which is crazy. Like,
so what's that process then, from being inspired by this subject about this experience in life to them not being part of it? Was it at one stage part of it?
I think I started writing it being like, oh, let's make a rom-com. No one steal this idea, because I still think this is a good idea. So
I don't believe you can steal ideas.
So true. Thank you.
I don't believe that you can. I believe that you will do what you do, and that you choose to do. And if someone else chooses to copy or impersonate what you're doing, it's not what you were going to do anyway.
Exactly. Thank you.
And like, there's someone that's doing something, starting something very similar to what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
A friend of a friend. They've seen this. They've been inspired by it. Go ahead. Like, you go do your thing. Yeah. It's not going to be the same as my thing. No. So
it's motivation, not competition.
Yeah.
But yeah, it started as a rom-com about dating apps, like the most romantic comedy. Like, inspired off of a dating app, and it's supposed to be based around these 5 girls that all are different on dating apps, and it was really quite small. And I was at my work, and I was finding all these all these people that I worked with. I was getting them to tell me their worst dating app stories, how they met these people, gone on a date, and so had happened, and so on and so forth. And as I started thinking, I asked my 3 really close friends I had at uni, and I asked them all the questions that I was asking everyone else, and I realised how much they'd been through before the dating apps. And I was like, why am I writing about a dating app? Because these women's stories, including my own story, is the real thing that we should be talking about. I'm not going to write about the weird thing this guy once said to me on a dating app. I think, yeah, that was gross, stop it, bye. But that's not the real message. That's not what I really care about. And I realised I had this really amazing group of friends at uni that we've all been through something different at different points in the time at uni, been together. So it was like the characters in the play go through it, so I kind of don't want to say too much. But there's 5 leads in the play, and that's where they've all stemmed from these girls' experience and how they all fall under a statistic. And it kind of came slowly from that. And then I went from writing about that to I kind of lost the writing for a bit because it was like agency showcase and the big 3rd year dissertation. All
Life
at
happened.
Once, yeah. Life was very intense. And then I was traveling with my best friend I've known since I was about 4, and I was on the train with her, and I was like, I'm going to write this play. She's like, what? And I was like, I just want to write this play. I was like, I might just write it, and I don't know what I'd do with it, but I just want to write it, and I just want to talk about how incredible these women that I've met growing up are. And it's not just the friends I made at uni that are buried in the characters. It's the friends I made in reception. It's the friends I made at 16. It's the women in my life that have empowered me to want to make a difference. So I was like, let's write it. And then I was writing it all, and I was reading it to these people that I'd met once, like they'd in my hostel room, and I was like, what do you think about this line? And they're like, who are you? I'm like, no, genuinely, I'm trying to write a play. And they're like, okay, but you're in Paris, or like you should be going outside. And I did, obviously I was a lot of it, but yeah, the writing process it started flowing as soon as I kind of got myself out of my head a bit. I was like, I really want to write about this. And I wrote it in the way that I think. I wrote it in romance. I wrote it all in a romance side. It's all corny. It's all cringy.
That's okay.
And that's me.
Yeah.
And I'm not I wouldn't change that in my writing. Like,
you got to embrace the cringe.
Yeah, definitely. It's so cringe. I love it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, my actors are like, please no, and I'm like, just do it again. And they're like, really?
I think within the cringe, I think that's where we find authenticity.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's where we find this space of being truthful, authenticity, and then empathy, and then like from the audience perspective, then they go, oh, that feels real. Yeah, like they have empathy for it.
Definitely.
You know?
I mean, the girls in mine pull out the cringe. Like the characters pull out the really cringy parts because it's like undeniably awful. Like it's like really, it's like I had to put it in there. But it's really. It's been really difficult. I'm changing the show again as we go. The 5 lead girls have had the most hard time already. They get a FaceTime call every week.
So you've been an actor as well, actress. I like calling actresses actors. I feel like we're all the same.
I think everyone's an actor.
Well, everyone's an actor. Why do we need to separate? Anyway, I digress. Having been an actor, performer, and now you're being a director and a writer. How do you feel that's going to work for them if you keep changing it and looking for that perfection? How do you, from your perspective, if you was in their shoes?
Yeah, I've been very concerned about that. I was saying it to my 2 producers today. I was like, I don't want them to think that I'm like Lucy, and like I was like, yeah, like I'm just kind of woo, like I'm not. And my main thing is the people that are my actors know me and know what I get like, so I'm quite lucky on that. But it doesn't mean that I get to get away with it. Like I won't let myself get away with it. And I will always, I've spoken to them always about, I was like, we're going to workshop it, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And do you know what I mean? And luckily, I had my cast together months before we got into the rehearsal space. We just did cold reads and loads of Zoom calls already because I know what I'm like, so I can kind of prepare them for the worst, essentially, of like it's going to change a lot. But I would never make a drastic change that could completely throw them off or anything like that, because if I'm not consistent, it would mess with them too much, and they wouldn't be able
to give... Consistency is important.
Yeah, and they wouldn't be able to give the most authentic performance. They wouldn't be able to really throw themselves into the character if their character is consistently changing.
Yeah.
So it's never like storyline changes. It's, I wrote this play, and you could watch it like this, or you could watch it in a completely different order, and it would still be the same story. So I play with the order, and I play with the way that I want it to be, because I can't work out the best way to send a message. But some of it is just because, exactly. Because
so here's a question then. When does playtime end?
Yeah. I knew that was coming when I said that. I was like, no.
When do we just, get down to the work and have a, you've played with it, let's say it's like Play-Doh now. Yeah, this is a new terminology. It's Play-Doh. You've been molding it all about, and you've got it, and you're like, that's my shape now. When do you decide that?
I give myself
because you are a perfectionist. Well, you know that. So it's never gonna be. So how do you?
I've given myself a date. I really have.
Okay, good.
I've
deadline.
Said, end of March. I have to start. The show's in May. I have to stop playing with it by the end of March. And it sounds like a long way away. And it's like April, May, and it's the middle of May, so it's not long. But we've blocked half the show already.
Okay. Yeah.
And that blocking will stay the same. My thing is, if I blocked it, it stays. If do you know what I mean? We can. One thing in our rehearsals as well is that the actors will. There's a massive thing in the room where I just go, if you want to change your line, or if you want to play around with this more, please just do it. Don't think. I get worried that they think because I'm the writer that I'm going to take offence if they. But I kind of go in the room and go, director hat. Don't. If you think that's not how they would say it, change it then. I want them to be able to change it as much as I can change it.
You want it to be a collaborative. Have I said that right?
Yeah. You did.
I did. I did a word. I did a big word. A collaborative project. You want it to be. You want it to be a group input.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the girls that are doing it are like we said, they're bearing their souls with this show. It is so wholesome and so sweet, but it's really not. It's not. It's the wrong idea. It's completely. It's not.
Can you give that a deadline as well? Could you give that a deadline where you say to the cast, no more input now? Does that go all the way to the stage?
I think as much as the director can do, I don't think you could, because I could sit down to watch the show on the day, or be in the sound box to watch the show, and they don't do anything that I planned. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't possibly. One of my directors at drama school said to me, which maybe that's the reason I do it, because they said, go for it. They said, your play is not going to be what you wrote by the time you perform it. And I said, really? I said, no, you're lying. No, it's going to be what I wrote. I'm organised. I've got this down. And it's already nowhere near what I wrote.
Yeah.
And I think maybe I've taken that to be it's definitely not what I wrote. I did that right. By the way, guys, tutors, just so you know, I took your advice.
You took some of it on board.
Literally.
If any of your tutors watch this back, they know that you listen.
They know I was listening to them all the time. But yeah, I think for the actors, I don't think I wouldn't set a time limit for them, because they're working so hard. In a way that same way that I would work as an actor in the show, but they're working so hard to understand. They're playing my friends at the end of the day. I think they're very not scared, but they feel the pressure to not hurt the people it's been written about as well. It's a very important part, is that some of the girls that are in the show know the girls that it's written about. So
you're openly saying then that this is true events? Yeah.
So a lot of it is
Have you changed names?
Yeah, I've changed names.
That might be an idea.
It's not, the statistics are true.
Okay.
Not the exact storyline. I couldn't say everything is accurate, because there's a lot of playing around and dramatic effect used for for the sympathy of the girls, which is the point, because they didn't get any in real life. One character is based off me, so my lead girl is very conscious that she's playing my experience. But she's had the same experience as me, so I very much just say, she's yours. Please use her. Use the character, use her name, use how she feels, use everything that you want to do, because this is a piece that we want to bring younger girls in and watch and go, damn, you know what I mean? That's crazy. That is the statistics. We need to look out for each other so much more, and I need to really, really talk to my mum and like be around, be safe and feel ready to go into adult life. Because as soon as you turn 18, you're expected to be ready to be ready for adult life when you're not finished growing.
Like, no, I don't think you finish growing at any point really.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, I think some people think they do.
Yeah,
I think some people get to a point they're like, I'm an adult now.
Yeah.
But I don't think the real adults do. I think the real adults are continuously growing and changing.
Definitely. My dad always says he's still 17 at heart. Like he's there. He's 67. Again, could have got that wrong. Sorry, Dad. And I think everyone's still playing in their own little way.
Yeah. So what impact do you hope, then you touched on it a little bit there, what impact do you hope this show has?
I want it to, a conversation. I'm not expecting it to start a movement. I don't think it needs to yet. I want it to be a conversation between girls as a somewhat of the mums and the sisters and the dads and the brothers. Like it is for everyone, because I want the men that come and watch it to think, oh, my friends could have done that. Like I wouldn't do that, but my friend could have done that. Or oh, I'd never do that. Or maybe I'm the character that's really sweet and lovely. Like, oh, that's so me. Do you know what I mean? Like to really fall in love with the characters and start talking about it. Like I'm not letting my little brother come and see it yet because he's too young. Definitely too young. It's quite out there. But I want the dads to have a conversation with their daughters, or the dads have a conversation with their sons, and it just kind of, conversations need to be had to start a movement. This is not a massive political piece where we're like, right, here we go. It's a dipping the toe in.
Like you said earlier, there's the story, and then there's the underlying message. And
that's the wrong idea.
Yeah,
the wrong idea is that.
And then, and this hope that then people leave, they talk about the story.
They talk about it. Yeah, they're like, oh, they were really cute, but like, what actually happened?
What actually happened?
Yeah, and I think we've gone more with explaining it more now, because I've made it really complicated for myself.
In what sense?
Each character has their very own specific storyline, because there's 5 leads, and the play moves quite quickly. You can miss crucial bits, and I don't want those bits to be missed, because it can take away from the ongoing message that these 5 girls are all a statistic, and you could be any single one of them. And those, in that moment, I've completely lost my thought process again. It keeps happening. I should have had a coffee before I came. So should have. I've been literally like this all day.
You're making complete sense about the statistics and about the message that you're trying to get across.
I think one thing that, if I was to like go back and I'd probably do a show about each girl rather than all 5 in the one show, because each storyline is so gut wrenching, but you wouldn't even know. Like,
but now you're in the process, and you've got to keep moving forward. You've put the tickets on sale. I'm sure you'll figure it out. I'm sure.
I'm praying.
I'm sure you've. Have you got anyone that can look in? Have you got anyone that you feel?
Yeah, we've got our producers for the festival. Yeah, it's part of the Harlow Arts Community Festival.
Okay, nice.
So they're coming to look in. I've got my tutors and things like that are coming in, and one person, my mum is someone that she was a politician in Harlow, and she left she stormed out of a meeting once because of the way they spoke about women and how they degraded what she believed in. So I want her to come in and watch it, but I also want her to come in and watch it as the older generation of women and be like, see how this is how we feel? Like, we can help each other here. So yeah, and we've got we're looking at getting a male advisory. We've got a male advisory at the minute.
Okay.
And then obviously we've got our intimacy coordinators and stuff that come in and out. But we've got a big team.
It sounds like you have
a massive team. Like
at one point, I was like, I hope you're not alone with this. Yeah. But it definitely sounds like you're not alone.
I've got. I mean, my 2 assistant and associate producers. They're just incredible. Like
You need people.
They are incredible.
Yeah.
Like they've been every single day for the last 2 weeks. We've been at the Harlow Playhouse, like almost 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and we just sit there and we work. We're like, okay, this show's coming, but we need more. And like, I drive a hard train. I'm like, right, yeah, we're just definitely okay. But that's over in May. So what are we doing after that? And everyone's like, well, I was like, okay, well, Bells, you can do your short film, and you want to do your play next year, Sky. Okay, cool. And I'm looking at doing another short film / play. Okay, well, I'm gonna write that. Like, I wrote the new short film script today, like on just sat like this, and I think it's that. But I wouldn't have been able to do that without the support circle that we've got, and we're very lucky. And that sets up the vibe for the rehearsals. We get into the rehearsals and it's half an hour of chatting away about our weeks.
Yeah, of course, you need a little bit of that.
Yeah, and it's so like, girls, you won't believe what happened. I went into the coffee shop, I did this, oh my God, like then this happened. And it was but every single girl's got like that, and a lot of them weren't like that at the beginning of the process, which is like really nice to see.
I guess that's how that's part of building your circle. Yeah. That's how you're building your trust between each other.
That's how the machine will work.
Yeah, so that when you come to the creative bit, you know each other. Yeah. You feel safe with each other, and you can make the machine work.
Definitely.
You can make the clogs turn.
Yeah.
So I see nothing but bright. We've only just met, but you've got so much going for you. Like you're moving this machine forward. What do you see for yourself moving forward? Where are you going? Forward. What's the dream? The dream. I always get this question. The dream is to be. I still want to be an actor. Like I want to tour. Like the ridiculous dream, because it's not ridiculous. I sort of stopped. Just attacked your charger as well. I'm attacking everything today. I'm on violence. Why? But no, the dream is to change the world. To be honest, with theatre, the dream is to literally go around the world with art that can affect every single place in the world in the same response. We can create a united front, not just about women's issues, but about so many other issues. Offbook starts with younger women, and that's what I want it to start with. But it's women as a whole. There's more than just the basic women's issues like sexual assault and rape and horrible things. I should have done a trigger warning there. But all these horrible things. There's so many more. Like that's. I'm talking as a white cis woman. I've got a very big level of privilege there. There's so many more things you can be doing, and you can change the world. Or I believe women can change the world. So that's the dream: is to act and change the world with women as a strength behind. That's a really good dream to have. That is a really good dream. Really lovely place to wrap this up and say thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for. I feel like you've taken me on a journey tonight, and I've learned so much from you. Like this, this has been great. But one last question for you then. So, what advice would you give to someone else that wanted to make a difference through the arts? Through the arts, I can't say anything other than look and network. Like, go to everything you could possibly do. If there's, say a younger version of me, are we saying, or a not of me, but of a younger version, a younger generation that wants to make a difference with the arts, just go. And it sounds really silly, but your insecurities and your things will hold you back. But have a look around and play. I'd say. Go and play, and that while you're playing, you will be changing stuff. You will realise the passion in what you're saying and what you're doing while you play. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for having me. And if anyone's listening or watching, thank you for joining the conversation. Yeah, really appreciate it. And plug the play. The Wrong Idea. Where's it on? It's on at Harlow Playhouse, Studio 2, part of Harlow Arts Community Festival. 16th of May at 3:30. Tickets are on sale at Offbook Theatre Company in our bio on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Wonderful. Took me an hour to get there. I don't do the socials. I do not do the socials. It's okay. We know where to find you, and links will be in the bio. Yeah, obviously. We'll make sure we link everything. And thanks again for listening, watching. Don't forget what they got to do: like and subscribe. Definitely. So they don't miss out on future conversations. And we can end with a clap. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yay! Sweet. That was the BTS Creative Academy podcast, Uncut. If you'd like to find out more about the BTS Creative Academy, just search BTS Creative Academy. And so that you don't miss out on any future conversations, don't forget to like and subscribe.